They say all politics is local, and in this segment, we are highlighting some of the local races here in East New York, the 42nd Councilmatic District. And we have another candidate with us today by the name of Wilfredo Florentino. Wilfredo, welcome to Meet the Candidates. Tell everybody
so much,
today who you are.
Awesome. Thank you so very much, Pastor. Thank you, to the St. Paul's Nation for this incredible invitation. My name is Wilfredo Florentino. I am a husband, a father, a United States Army veteran, a Nehemiah homeowner right here in East New York, born and raised in Brooklyn, attended New York City public schools, the University at Albany. I was raised in Section 8 housing, raised on food stamps right here in Brooklyn by a single mother. We scrimped and we saved and we benefited from a program that no longer exists, which is the HDFC program, where the city would return buildings into the hands of the residents so that they could do with it what they would. Very similar to what we have currently in East New York in the CLT program. After I graduated from college, I spent some years in the United States military, came back to Brooklyn to serve my community. I served in the New York City Council. I served in state government, where I managed a $3 billion portfolio focused on job retention and creation. Separate and apart from my professional career and my private life, I've been dedicated to service. I've been on our local community board for the past 11 years, fighting for issues that matter to folks like you and me.
So you mentioned Nehemiah. You're a Nehemiah homeowner.
That is correct.
So let's talk a little bit about housing in two different areas. Let's talk about public housing.
Yes, sir.
And I think we shared with you the vision statement of Metro IF, East Brooklyn Congregation, St. Paul Community Baptist Church. It is our belief that public housing should be repaired from top to bottom. It should not be privatized. And we believe that it's the last bastion of affordability in this city. And as you know, this district has a plethora of public housing. What's your plan? What are your thoughts relative to public housing?
Absolutely. I think that we have to center the voice of the people. For far too long, it's been the city continuously dictating to community about what our needs are, how to get things done, how to accomplish things. And we've heard very clearly from our community that we stand against the privatization of our public housing. As a matter of fact, Congresswoman Nydia Velázquez has legislation to stand against the privatization of housing and ensure that our public housing gets the resources, the financial resources that they need in order to survive. The privatization that has been going on under the cover of night in our community is absolutely unconscionable. And, while some folks sleep, other folks take that opportunity as an entry point to come into our neighborhoods and take things directly from us.
Talk a little bit about the issue of senior affordability. As you probably know, right up the block, St. Paul Community Baptist Church, East Brooklyn Congregations in partnership built Redwood Senior Living. We think it's a great model. So we've got seniors who are prioritized from public housing, and they were right-sized in their apartments and services right there at Redwood, wraparound services, and we've created a culture and a community right here within the community. We think that there's an opportunity here in this district to increase senior affordability and give dignity to our seniors in their golden years. What's your thoughts?
I completely agree with you, Pastor. As part of our campaign promise, we will be advocating for a moratorium against giving public land to private developers. We are going to ensure that our land, our community's land, goes into the hands of the community, of organizations such like yours that are building affordable housing right here, Black and brown owned, for our community. For far too long, we have been directing our own public land to developers that have no vested interest, that couldn't care less about our people. And initiatives like the one you just mentioned are initiatives that should be at the vanguard of what we should be doing in this next mayoral administration.
Okay, so I'm gonna throw you an underhand pitch. You can do what you want, what you want with this. You live in a Nehemiah home. All right. Well, talk to us about affordable housing in East New York. East New York is a community, Brownsville, surrounding areas, East Brooklyn, has been regenerated. And we know that there are many communities that have been gentrified, and that's always been an overlying fear of this community. If you were to emerge from this race, what would you do in terms of affordable housing? Housing that's affordable to the people who live here.
Great question, Pastor. You know, again, unfortunately, the city continues to dictate to us what affordability means, as opposed to coming to us directly and figuring out what it is that we identify as affordable. And so, you know, we are committed to absolutely ensuring that the community's voice not only is centered in that conversation, but leads those conversations about what affordability is right here in our neighborhood. As it relates to affordable housing and home ownership, you know, land. Land is the one thing they ain't making more of. We're not getting any more land.
That's right.
In East New York and Brownsville. The land that we have, the public land that is, the public land that we have in our community needs to remain in the hands of the community so that we can build more Nehemiah homes, so that we can build more dedicated, affordable, deeply affordable housing, so that we can build senior housing, and senior housing that just doesn't create a space for folks to live, but wraparound housing. Wraparound housing means that they have all of the services that they need, medical services, services as it relates to food insecurity. We have the most community gardens in the city of New York. It is a resource that is unique to our community. How are we leveraging those resources that we have right here in our community to benefit our people?
As a parent, talk to us about what you have gleaned in this moment, this pandemic that we're now coming out of, broadband access or the lack thereof, the inequities of the system, that we have now seen greater emphasis on this inequity in our system, in this community. Talk to us about public education and some of your views.
Brilliant. So as it relates to broadband access, you know, when I was at the state's Economic Development Agency, I was the founding project manager for the state's initiative to ensure broadband access all throughout New York State. We are currently failing not just our children, but our families and our elders by not ensuring that not just the internet, but broadband is considered a right. Not a luxury, but a right. When you are forced to use virtual learning as your only means to educate our kids, but in that same breath, you're not offering them an opportunity to have free internet. Access to free and affordable internet is completely unconscionable. And so our campaign has been very intentional about ensuring that once we move out of this pandemic, that we ensure that broadband access, that internet access, is not considered a privilege, but it is considered a right to ensure that it doesn't become a barrier for absolutely anyone. Affordable housing, going back to the conversation around affordable housing, if you can't get onto the Housing Connect platform,
right,
how are you going to apply for affordable housing? How? There is no way for you to apply for affordable housing without internet access. And that's something that we need to dismantle. We need to ensure that the resources to be able to apply for affordable housing are made readily available all throughout the community. Why don't we partner with our churches to have satellite offices so that individuals that don't have the technological know-how or the familiarity to apply for so-called affordable housing? We need to demystify the processes that exist that are really in place to make things more difficult for us as opposed to making them easier for our people.
Wilfredo, you just made a point about community partnerships. If you are to emerge, if you do emerge from this race, the primary winner, Democratic candidate, would you be willing to meet with us immediately as we begin to think through what East New York should look like in the future? Would you be willing to meet with churches like the St. Paul Community Baptist Church and East Brooklyn congregations?
You know, as a product of the church, as someone who has served as the head of the men's ministry, the head of the usher ministry and an ordained minister, I think that we absolutely have to center the voice of the church in the discussions that we have as we come out of this pandemic. If we're not centering the voice of the church, we are leaving an astronomical void in the work. We absolutely have to center the voices of our churches. I am committed to revitalizing that communication, which is currently fractured. And I don't need to tell you this, Pastor, but the relationships in our community are fractured. They've been fractured for decades. And, I stand on unity is strength. Or en español, en la unión está la fuerza.
All right.
In unity, there is strength.
In
and that
unity, there is
includes
strength.
absolutely everyone.
Okay, this is it. This is your opportunity. That camera is all yours. Tell St. Paul Nation why you should be the next council member of the 42nd District.
Thank you so much again, Pastor, St. Paul Nation, for this incredible invitation and this awesome opportunity to talk to our community about the challenges before us. My name is Wilfredo Florentino. I'm not a politician. I've never run for elected office in the past, but I have dedicated my entire life to giving back. I have dedicated my entire life to community service, from serving on my local community board for the past 11 years to defending our country. I am a candidate for the 42nd District, which represents East New York, Brownsville, Canarsie, and East Flatbush. The challenges ahead of us are monumental, but I am hopeful, and I know that so long as we remain unified as a community, we can overcome those challenges. And one way that we overcome those challenges is by centering your voice, by centering the voice of everyone who has been disconnected from the political establishment. As we've been out in these streets for the past almost 2 years, the one thing that we hear over and over again is, quote, once you electeds get elected, we never see you again. Or, we only see you when you want our vote. I was just like you. I was just like you. I thought that, I know that politicians only come around when they get elected. And instead of sitting on the sidelines, I knew that I had a calling on my life to do something more, to be of service to our people. And that's what I'm asking for today. I'm asking you for your vote. I'm asking to earn your vote so that we can work together to transform our community, to transform the way in which the divisions have just created this split in our community. As I mentioned to the pastor a few minutes ago, in unity, there is strength. And I'm a firm believer that our community needs that unification. We want that unification. Through that unification, our community will get the resources that we have not had access to for far too long. Join our movement to ensure equity, justice, and transparency in the way that local government and city government works for us. Thank you so much, Pastor.
Wilfredo, best of luck to you, and look forward to meeting you again. If you are to emerge, looking forward to connecting and getting some great things done. St. Paul Nation, I cannot tell you who to vote for, but as your pastor, I'm telling you to vote like your life depends on it, because it does. This is Pastor Brawley for St. Paul Nation telling you, go out and vote.